Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you so much, Rise Calgary, for having me sort of virtually today. I hope everyone is doing great, and I'm sorry that I don't get to have any, in-person interaction with you today, but really looking forward to adding some value, hopefully answering some questions and giving you some aha moments and leaving you with some tools that you can take away and actually action as you need them. My name is Taz Rajan. I am the Community Engagement Partner at Bromwich and Smith. We are licensed insolvency trustees. We are in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and New Brunswick, and we're almost all the way across Atlantic Alberta as well. So we'll be pretty national there. And what we do is we help Canadians who are overwhelmed by their debt in that situation where they're just so overwhelmed and not sure what they can do. We offer the only federally legislated debt forgiveness programs that we are so fortunate as Canadians to have. We have an exit strategy here in Canada. And today I get to one of my passions is educating and empowering people. So I get to do a little bit of that today. I'm going to be sharing my own story throughout. And yeah, I really hope that there's a lot of value here for all of you. So let me just go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started here. All right. There we go. Perfect. So let's talk about debt. Bromwich and Smith, we just want to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. Again, like I had said, we're about conquering debt and rebuilding your worth. We have a team of licensed insolvency trustees and debt relief specialists. And really, we're here and committed to helping you rebuild your self-worth and your net worth. We understand that it's way beyond just your finances. It really is about your emotional and mental well-being as well. And we want to see that, all around healthy well-being. And because each person is unique, we custom tailor a solution to each person. Our purpose is to relieve that overwhelming financial burden that individuals are experiencing in accordance with Canadian legislation. And that's a really big thing to remember. There's lots of different things out there. There's only one Canadian federal legislated debt forgiveness world, and that's in the licensed insolvency trustee field. So how do we do that? We're going to treat everyone with grace and respect. We provide impartial and unbiased information and commentary. So, you're really speaking to an expert and they're really going to give you the advice that you need. We love to foster that diversity of everyone's different perspectives. And we really do have a collection or a library of resources to support that ongoing personal growth and understanding. Bromwich and Smith aspires to be nationally recognized as the leader for people needing debt relief. And we will accomplish this, like I said, by recognizing the social and emotional challenges that debt actually places on an individual and partnering with those like-minded community members like Rise Calgary. And we are a compassionate organization, that people refer to their friends and family. These are our core values. And the biggest one is, of course, that we operate with that highest level of integrity, ethics, and honesty in all that we do. We really do strive to earn that trust, develop those long-term relationships. We embrace change for the betterment of all stakeholders. We recognize and encourage individual responsibility as a means of empowerment. I really love this one. To me, it speaks to that idea of giving somebody a fish and having them eat for one day versus teaching somebody to fish. And that is really, we're on that other side of teaching people and, holding people up, to be responsible and to be accountable, because that's what empowers us. And then we are an organization with so much diversity in our skills, interests, opinions, and cultural backgrounds. And we really do believe that that strengthens our collaborative team. So what are the services that are available through Bromwich and Smith? We offer consumer proposal. Only a licensed insolvency trustee can offer that. Bankruptcy, only a licensed insolvency trustee can offer that. And then we do work with some reputable partners when it comes to credit counseling, debt management programs, the orderly payment of debt. And then, like I said, we have a huge resource for you of different blogs and articles and videos and all that great stuff. So let's get into the first video actually that I would like to share with you. And let me just do a stop share and then we'll do a reshare here. Perfect. There we go. I'll share this little video with you and then we'll chat some more. Oh, I just realized I might not have done share computer sound. There we go. Let me make sure we've got that. And I'm just going to start it again.
Wouldn't it be nice to start again? To press a button and reboot everything. To rewrite your story on a fresh sheet of paper. To reset life to a time before money controlled everything. Before the missed payments, the regrets, the overdue notices. Before debt took your life. Wouldn't it be great to start over again?
I just feel that does such a beautiful job of explaining what we do and the impact that debt has on individuals. So I wanted to chat a little bit about this, those people in debt, that would never be me. I think it's really easy to sit sometimes, in on our high horses or in our glass castles basically, and kind of say, oh, that would not be me, or, those people are X, Y, and Z. So let's have a look at, what are some comments that you've heard about debt and people who are struggling with debt? And you can go ahead and pause this for a moment and just put it into the chat. What, when I say the word debt or people who are struggling with debt, what are the things that come to your mind, or what are the things that you've heard other people say? And then I'm going to share with you what we hear quite often. So here are some of the things that we've heard through our social media, through, our research that we've done, and through, various channels, basically, is this idea that, people that are in debt are just people that are not good with money or not good with math, or people who just didn't save. They didn't make a habit of saving. They didn't put any money away for a rainy day. They're irresponsible. They don't have an emergency fund. They didn't bother to get an insurance. These people are lazy. It's unfair to those of us who pay our bills that you help these people who are not paying their bills. These are some of the things that we hear quite often, and that, our clients say that they have heard. So unfortunately, that's not actually the case. That definitely is a myth. And so, again, here is what our clients have told us when we did a survey with them in 2017, that, you start to worry about who you will tell and how will they perceive you. You feel embarrassed, your self-image becomes dissolved. This one, I'm scared, to use the word scared to tell people, because they'll probably say, I should have dealt with it better. And I'm already feeling like I've lost everything, right? My family doesn't even know. It would have felt like I wasn't a grown-up. It's like admitting massive failure. And then this one, I think bankruptcy, I hate to use this word, but it's like being a financial criminal. And then you have been pardoned, but you'll still have done something bad or something wrong. And the truth is, what we see at Bromwich and Smith is, generally, I would say 99% of the time, the reason people come to see us is because there's been one of 4 external triggers. And that would be, death usually of a spouse, but sometimes it's death of a child, or, a different very close family member, divorce, it's job loss, and it's a disability. So these are the reasons why people end up being so overwhelmed by debt. It's not that they're lazy. It's not that they're not good with money. It's not that they didn't have an emergency fund. Like I said, in most cases, it is just your everyday person who had something unfortunate happen to them. So it's, that honest but unfortunate person. And that is who, we are here to help. That's what licensed insolvency trustee firms are here to work through and help both the individual as well as, the creditors, to make sure that the whole system stays intact. So assessing the right option for you, let's have a look at each one. There is, Okay, I think we'll get to do nothing last. So let's talk about the orderly payment of debt program. Now, this is only available in certain provinces. Not all provinces deem that an orderly payment of debt is in fact something that, Canadians require, that that province's jurisdiction requires, because there is the Licensed Insolvency Trustee Act. But in an orderly payment of debt, it is available in Alberta. That's why we're talking about it today. What you do is you pay your creditors the full amount that you owe them. You've got 4 years in which to pay that money back. And your interest rate it's just all on one interest rate, which is 5%. So you may have different credit products at, 17% and, 12% and 3%. And, this will put it all into one payment at one interest rate. You do get some legal protection with it, and it does stay on your credit report for 3 years after you complete the 4-year program. There is the do nothing. Now, I know initially at first blush, you're probably like, well, that's obviously not an option, but it can be an option for those individuals who we call judgment proof. And what judgment proof means is you either have no income or only supportive income coming in, pension, old age security, age, those kinds of things. And or you really have no assets. So yes, you're in debt, but none of your creditors can touch your income, and none of your creditors can take away any assets because you don't have any. So do nothing is an option. You got to keep in mind though, just because you're judgment proof doesn't mean that the creditors will not take their normal course of action. So they will still call you. They will still send demand letters. They may still send it to collections, and you'll have collections calling. So doing nothing can really disrupt your peace of mind, but it truly is an option that is available for someone who's really feeling overwhelmed by their debt. Consumer proposals. This is a very, very powerful tool that we have as Canadians. Your repayment plan is subject to creditor approval, but 97% of ours are, I believe, approved the first time around. It does give you that legal protection, stay of proceedings, which protects you from creditor action. So from them garnishing your income or garnishing your bank account, or, putting a lien against your home or your vehicle, or putting a judgment or taking you to court, all of that legally has to stop once you signed into a consumer proposal, because a consumer proposal gives you that stay of proceedings. You must be able to make your monthly payments for a minimum of 3 years. You can go for up to 5 years. There can sometimes be a setup fee, which is higher than in a bankruptcy. Bromwich and Smith doesn't charge a setup fee. It does allow you to keep your assets, and it will stay on your credit report for 3 years after you complete the program. So 3 to 5 years to complete the program, and then it is going to stay on your credit report for 3 years after that. But a really powerful tool, and like the best alternative to a bankruptcy. Personal bankruptcy. It's a legal process whereby you are discharged from most of your debts. There are still some debts that you cannot be discharged from. And again, like I said earlier, this permits the honest and unfortunate Canadian to get that freedom from their debts when it becomes just all consuming and overwhelming. So let's have a look at some bankruptcy myths, because there are definitely some out there. I know for me, like I said, I come from the banking world, and I definitely had some myths that, I didn't realize I had. I thought that they were fact, but you really don't know what fact is until you have a presentation like this. So there are, like I said earlier, there are certain debts that do not go away or cannot be discharged by a bankruptcy. And these are, you'll kind of see a trend, anything that's court ordered, fine related, or done under false pretenses. So a fine or restitution, easy for me to say, certain awards of damages from the court, debt from alimony or child support. Again, that's court mandated, right? Debt that arises from fraud, theft, or other, illegal, unethical, processes, obtaining property under false pretenses, student loans. And I, really should put an asterisk around that. There is a way that student loans is addressed. So I'll talk about that on the other side here. And then any dividend that would rightfully be the creditor's payment had they known about it. Those things do not go away just because you file into a bankruptcy. Now, on the flip side, the good news is a lot of your assets are protected against bankruptcy. So in Alberta, your vehicle can have up to $5,000 worth of equity, and you get to keep your vehicle. And you don't have to make extra payments because your vehicle is not worth more than $5,000 worth of equity. Your furniture and clothing and personal effects up to $4,000 each. Tools of the trade, tools that are required for you to keep your income going so that you can just keep a roof over your head, those are exempt. You don't have to give those up in a bankruptcy, nor increase your payments based on that amount. Equity in your principal home up to $40,000 in Alberta. We have the highest home equity exemption. And then life insurance policies with a specific beneficiary, and anything that is registered retirement savings plan, registered education savings plan, pensions, RDSPs, all of those things cannot be touched by your creditors when you go into a bankruptcy. And recently we just did a survey, and majority of Canadians would rather, number one, they would rather borrow from friends and family, but number two, they would rather cash out their RSPs to deal with their debt than to go see a debt expert. And I'm just here to say, if you have some of that already, and I know you guys have been learning about RRSPs and things like that, do not cash that out before you talk to a trustee. I think we do that in good faith, thinking, okay, I'm going to figure out a way to pay back my creditors, but that is protected. That is your future. So don't steal from your future. And I said I would talk about student loans. So student loans, if you have not been a student in the last 7 years, your student loan can be included as one of your debts in the bankruptcy. If not, they do freeze your student loan payments until you complete your bankruptcy or your consumer proposal, and then you would continue to pay your student loans off after that. So, there is a little bit of a reprieve from student loans, at least. Let's have a look at the similarities and differences between a bankruptcy and a consumer proposal. So both consumer proposals and bankruptcies give you that immediate stay or protection from your creditors. So you're like Teflon. They can't get to you. They can't get to your bank account. They can't get to your paycheck, and they can't, send those demand letters. Both will allow you to be discharged from unsecured debt. So we're not talking about things like a mortgage. We're talking about credit cards, unsecured lines of credit, that sort of thing. And both can only be administered by a licensed insolvency trustee. That is really, really important. If you are sort of calling around, trying to figure out who can help you with your debt, and somebody talks to you about a consumer proposal, it's really critical that you ask one very important question. And that is, are you a licensed insolvency trustee? And if not, they are not the ones that are going to do the consumer proposal for you. They're likely going to charge you a fee and then walk your file over to a licensed insolvency trustee firm. So why not go direct? Bankruptcy and consumer proposal. There's 2 types of bankruptcy and 2 types of consumer proposals. They have to do with the size and amount of debt. So just know that there's summary and ordinary when it comes to bankruptcy and Div 1 and Div 2 consumer proposals. We're not going to get into all of those details at this time. All right, let me do a stop share, and I'm going to share this video with you. Hope you're all hanging in there well. Oh, no, that's not what I want to share. Sorry. Oh, it is. All right, here we go. I'm just going to share a little video from the federal government for you. No, it does not want to work. Try this again. All right. Here we go.
It's been a tough time for David and Julie. David has been laid off, credit card payments have slipped, and the other bills are also falling behind. Thinking bankruptcy may be an option, he sits down and begins an online search to get information about the topic. He finds the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy Canada, the federal organization that licenses and regulates licensed insolvency trustees, professionals who can provide the information he needs. Using the search tool, David finds a licensed insolvency trustee in his area and makes an appointment. Seeing a licensed insolvency trustee is a great first step. The trustee will explain the options to Julie and David, giving them the information they need to make a well-informed decision. After an open and frank discussion about what they earn, what they own, and how much they owe, Julie and David decide that bankruptcy is, in fact, the most appropriate choice. The trustee then files the bankruptcy application with the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy Canada. Once the application is filed, the trustee will take care of legal obligations, and Julie and David will stop making payments directly to their creditors. As the trustee is now in charge of the file, any and all legal actions against them will stop, and no one will be able to garnish their wages. Julie and David will likely be able to keep some of the things they own, because those assets are protected by provincial and federal laws. However, some assets may be sold by the trustee and the proceeds used to help pay the debts they owe. Their creditors will be notified of the bankruptcy, and if a meeting of creditors is called, Julie and David will have to attend. They will also have to attend 2 counseling sessions to help them get back on their feet financially. Finally, they may have to make payments toward their debt, called surplus income payments. These payments ensure that people who declare bankruptcy and have sufficient income contribute to paying off a portion of their debt. Eventually, their debts will be discharged, relieving them from the obligation of repaying most of the debt they had on the day they filed for bankruptcy. While this comes as a relief to both Julie and David, the trustee also explains that some debts cannot be discharged. These include alimony and child support payments, court-ordered fines or penalties, debts arising from fraud, and, in some cases, student loans. While the bankruptcy will affect their credit rating for a number of years, the trustee tells them that once the debt is discharged, they can start to rebuild their financial future. It's not an ideal situation, but dealing with this does lift a weight off their shoulders. This is one of a series of videos available on our website. The website also includes a searchable database of license.
All right, and I'm just going to share one more video with everyone that it just goes through a consumer proposal. So let me, and it's the same music, and it's all about the government of Canada as well.
Meet Mary. Mary took a job right out of college, but recently she has had to take a lot of time off to care for her sick husband, Paul. With reduced income and their debts mounting, they are now considering bankruptcy. Their first step was to visit a licensed insolvency trustee, a professional who is licensed by the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy Canada. To their surprise, the trustee told them that bankruptcy may not be necessary. The trustee says that Mary and Paul could prepare what is called a consumer proposal. This is an offer to creditors to pay back a percentage of what they owe over a period of up to 5 years. There are advantages to filing a consumer proposal, the trustee tells them. For example, they get to keep their possessions, and the proposal binds all creditors to the agreement. To get things underway, the trustee explains that Mary and Paul must provide a complete list of what they own and what they owe. Using that information, the trustee will put a proposal together based on their ability to pay. The proposal will then be filed with the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy Canada, the federal organization that regulates licensed insolvency trustees. Once it is filed, Mary and Paul will stop making payments directly to their unsecured creditors. The trustee also explains that if creditors are garnishing her wages or suing them, those actions will stop too. Once the appropriate papers are filed with the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy Canada, the trustee will then submit the proposal to the couple's creditors. The creditors will then have 45 days to accept or reject the offer. If creditors appear unsatisfied with the proposal, the trustee may also negotiate amendments, such as higher payments to creditors. But if the proposal is rejected, Mary and Paul are told they'll have to look at other options to solve their financial problems. This may include declaring bankruptcy. If the proposal is accepted, Mary and Paul will then be responsible for making periodic payments to the trustee, who will use that money to pay the creditors. Further, they will be required to adhere to any other conditions in the proposal. They will also have to attend 2 counseling sessions to help them get back on their feet financially. If they meet the conditions, they will be legally released from the debts that were included in the proposal. Mary asks about their credit rating. Yes, it will be affected, she is told. But once the terms of the proposal are met, they will be able to start rebuilding their credit and their financial future. If you are facing financial uncertainty, having a licensed insolvency trustee prepare a consumer proposal for you is just one of several options available. Visit our website where you can use our searchable database to find a licensed insolvency.
All right, there we go. So some third-party validation of all of the information that I've been giving you, and we'll get back over to our slides here. Sorry. I wanted that to be a lot more seamless, but all right, here we go. Okay, so similarities or just kind of an overview of bankruptcy and an overview of consumer proposal. In a bankruptcy, you will be required to make payments to your trustee, and the trustee distributes those payments equally to your creditors, and they will want to see proof of your monthly income and expenses sheets. At Bromwich and Smith, we don't ask for them every month. We ask you to hang on to them each month, and then I believe we pull them quarterly. You do need to attend 2 counseling sessions, and this is just an opportunity to really talk about financial literacy and consumerism and just different things that could maybe help you avoid coming to see us in the future. This is one business where we really do not want repeat customers. Again, I talked about tracking your income and expenses. You'll need to make sure that your taxes are filed and up to date, and we can assist you with, setting up that service for you. And you may need to help the trustee gather certain documentation and certain information. And then in most cases, first-time bankruptcy, everything goes well, you will be discharged within 9 months of filing. So you've got 9 months of the bankruptcy, and then it's going to stay on your credit report for 6 years after that. On the consumer proposal side of things, a little bit different. You are paying that fixed amount of money over a specified time period for a settlement of your debt. It is a settlement for a portion of your debt. You're not paying back all of it. That's already been, negotiated and agreed upon. And now you're just making your monthly payments. Again, you're going to go to the 2 financial counseling meetings. The thing with the consumer proposal is if 3 payments are missed, your proposal becomes annulled. You lose that legal protection that's protecting you from your creditors. And quite often you'll end up having to flip to a bankruptcy. So, the thing I say on that, when you have that consultation with your trustee or with your debt relief specialist, be totally honest and transparent. If $500 a month is a stretch, you got to let your trustee know that, and maybe we can set your payments at $450 a month or something like that so that you're not missing those payments. And then when all of your requirements are fulfilled, you're going to get a completion certificate. Usually, like I said, a consumer proposal will take about 5 years. You can take up to 5 years, and then it's going to remain on your credit report for 3 years after that. So let's talk about our credit report, because I know that's a big thing for everyone. I know when I was a banker, nobody even really knew that they had a credit report or a credit score, and now we're all so aware of it. So any consolidation order, like an orderly payment of debt or consumer proposal, is going to stay on your credit report for 3 years after you complete that program. So you're looking at a total of 7 or 8 years, okay? First-time bankruptcy stays on your credit report for 6 years after your discharge. First-time bankruptcy should be discharged after 9 months. So again, you're looking at about almost 7 years. Second-time bankruptcy stays on for 14 years. And if there is a third time, that can no longer be discharged. And the big thing I want you to keep in mind is that if you've been sent over to a collection agency, you have a judgment, you have a lien or any of that, your credit rating has already been bruised to the same level or very close to a consumer proposal. So it's going to be probably an R5, whereas a consumer proposal is an R7. That's the rating on your credit report. But basically anything after an R4, lenders don't want to give you best rates and terms. It starts to get really challenging. So, a big message is to be proactive with your debt when it starts to feel overwhelming, rather than doing what I did, which I just buried my head in the sand, ignored everything, and it ended up already ruining my credit before I went in to talk to a trustee. So that is everything, actually. Basically, if there are any questions, feel free to share them with with Rise, and they will get those questions off to me, and I will do my very best to get back to you as quickly as I can with some responses and some answers. The videos, the PowerPoint have all been shared with Rise. If you would like to, watch it again on your own, you will have that opportunity. And all of my contact information is also with your directors here at Rise as well. So if you need anything at all, you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by your debt, feel free to reach out. It's a safe place, and we are here to help and provide that impartial, unbiased information for you as well. So thank you all so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.